movies have given over to TV on the one hand, which is really unexpected. Like most of the quality stuff, I think even that's gone now, to be honest. I think there was a period of the TV renaissance, but I don't think that's over now. But anyway, there was this period of transition. And what was that about? Well, why have much better TV? Well, two things. One is it's solitary, people do it at home. And two, it's long form. So it's binge, this whole binge watching thing. You get people to stay at home for longer and longer periods and soak up the propaganda, even if you love it, Game of Thrones, whatever. It's still got this other covert function. So people are either staying at home more, which obviously the era of COVID was really about making that happen, and they're glued to their tech, right? So that's TV. But then I think what's much more prevalent and much more indicative of a shift is the social media platforms, including YouTube or what have you, where people do create their own content. I mean, everywhere you create your own content on social media, but I mean, YouTube, you can be an artist and do it. I don't want to say the end game because that's an easy term, but certainly really central to my thesis about the Kubrickon, as in Kubrick's attempt to use his films to create a body of work that would be able to interface with the internet in order to gather data for the creation or the inception of artificial intelligence. That thesis, that social media, this age of post-cinema social media, is all about audience interaction. That's the key, and this has to do with complicity, because it's one thing to control people, to get them to not disobey, to not rise up, to not prevent the control. It's quite another to be able to recruit them, to get them to, basically they're your ground army. They're on the ground and they're creating the content, and they're spreading the memes, and they're spreading the sexualization and the violence, whatever it is that's part of the social engineering. They're doing it to themselves. So not only have you got this army that's creating more and more of the content and feeding more and more energy into the machine, but you've got their complicity. You've got them by the balls then, because they're invested. They actually believe it's their own uprising, and it's actually part of the conquest of the human soul.
Yeah, well, I mean, certainly we've seen that with how many influencers bought into the whole pandemic, and we're basically taking checks as Leavy exposed. We're getting paid to promote all the talking points during the lockdowns, right? Shots, everything, basically, they were getting paid to do, and how people obviously went along with that narrative without batting an eye. Unlike few like the Joe Rogans who just did what they wanted. Most just obviously complied. And so I think it's very interesting what you're saying is essentially, it's like basically they're getting people to opt into their own self-destruction,